anything of it, nor was I trying to. But I saw the opportunity and I took it, and I think the thing that I love about it most of all is that it's not for me. I'm doing it to spread the word out. It's weird because I think before this, I was trying things, and it never worked out. And the minute that I was just myself and honest, everything just flooded in,
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It really is.
And also the joke just wasn't funny. That was the problem. It just wasn't a good joke. He said, there's a floating island of garbage in the ocean. Oh yeah, and it's called Puerto Rico.
So welcome. Good afternoon. This is Loralee with LoraleeLiving and Town Visit Tuesdays. And today I have special guest Rigo. Welcome, Rigo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
So we have been talking about this podcast for about a month since your post about switching to being a Republican. And
Correct.
There's been some questions from several people about why and how you switched, what made you switch. And I'd kind of like to get a background. You were born in Puerto Rico and raised in New York.
No, opposite. I was born in New York.
Oh,
Correct.
Born in New York and raised in Puerto Rico.
No, I was born and raised in New York. I moved to Puerto Rico when I was, I moved to Puerto Rico when I was 30.
Okay, I see. Okay, so can you give us a little background of growing up and being a Democrat? I don't know if your family was or how that all worked, but can you share that story?
Absolutely. So I grew up in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, New York. And it's funny because I was actually thinking about this. You kind of don't have a choice when you're raised in a place like the Bronx to not be anything but a Democrat. It's kind of all around you. My parents were always Democrats, even though they weren't very political. And it's funny because when I was thinking about this, I realized how messaging, whether it's in ads or what you see, really affects the message that the Democrats try to impose on you as a victim, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
There were, for example, there would be ads for dental assistant and never the dentist, if that makes any sense. It's almost like they kind of keep you in a box in which you have a victim mentality, but you're unaware of it because, they give people food assistance or cash assistance, and they make you dependable on the government. So, and the way I always saw Republicans and the way they were portrayed to me was that they were rich white people.
Okay.
Like that's how I would see them because that's how they would it was pushed onto us. If you're Republican, that means you're white and you're rich, and that's not an option for you.
Wow.
And I see that now that I'm older, I can see like the propaganda and how they kind of enforce this mentality on you. They make you a victim,
Absolutely. I get what you're saying because I've talked to people that have that mentality and trying to wrap my mind around some of the things that I hear. I just have never understood, like, why do you think that? Or why would you ever even have that thought? Because it just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's the environment, the social environment that you grow up in, and how they, you have a demographic here of lower income people who happen to be Black and Latino. So you want to kind of keep them in that mentality. At least that's how I see it now. When you're growing up in it, you don't see it that way. You see it as like, oh, they're giving us all this assistance and et cetera, et cetera. But in reality, what they're doing is keeping you mentally enslaved.
Right. Like you said, they're keeping you in a box and keeping you in a mindset that doesn't allow you to pursue more or think that you have the ability to pursue more.
Yes, exactly. But I was lucky enough in the sense that for 8th grade, my teacher applied me to private school and I got accepted and went to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And that was my first time living outside of New York where I went to school with white people for the first time. And I saw that like not everybody is this kind of fits the mold that I was that they were portraying to me. It kind of opened up my mind. And that's when my mind got out of that limited box that I was in.
Interesting. How old were you?
I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spent my high school years in Hershey, PA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it like? Like, at first, did you think that, I don't know,
Uh,
because with that
it,
mindset, a lot of people kind
no,
of judge.
it was a complete culture shock. Complete culture shock. You take an inner city Bronx boy to, the country basically, because Hershey is like all country, and it was a shock at first, but then like anything, you get acclimated and your mind opens up. It was such a blessing for me, honestly.
Okay, good. So you were open-minded to it. You weren't, because I feel like a lot of people that have the trapped mindset, they I feel like they don't open up or have any room to listen to the opportunities that are available. So were you
Right.
open at first, or were you always open to what you were seeing and like,
No, I think I was always open to it. I
okay,
think I was always open to it. Yeah. And um, my parents were never judgmental like that. They never, classified people as this or that. So I never really had that. But growing up in the Bronx, that was the viewpoint of the outside world.
I got you.
You
Okay.
know? Yeah.
Okay. So I know on one of your videos, I don't know if it was the one that I reposted or which one it was, but you mentioned that and you just said it again too, that your parents were Democrat. So they said that they're voting Republican this year.
Correct. And that
So
was the first.
how did that
Yeah.
all come about?
Well, they came down here to see me, and just in conversation, we were talking about the grocery prices, and my mom goes, "Yeah, that's why I'm voting for Trump." And I was like, "What? Wow, really?" And already by this time, this was at the beginning of this year, I had more angst against Trump prior to that, but I was already loosening up in my mind just because of the things I was already kind of seeing. Um, but yeah, I had the conversation with my mom, and that kind of made me more inclined to being more open to Trump. But what prior to that, what made me start realizing that something was off was during the 2019 Democratic debates when
Oh,
Tulsi Gabbard came on. I had never seen her, and I was like, "Who is this woman?" Like, I just fell in love with her. And then the slandering came of her being a Russian asset, and that was the first time where my mind was like, "Wait a minute, I'm seeing this woman as like your best candidate, and now you're calling her a Russian asset." And that's when things started changing for me internally. So I was like,
interesting.
wait, this doesn't make sense. Like, this woman is a vet, she served in the military, and you're slandering her. And that's when things started getting confusing for me, and that's when things started shifting in my mind.
Okay. And how from there, where did it go?
From there, it was once things started opening my mind up, it was Candace Owens, actually, who prior to that, because I had such a brainwashed mentality, I would see her and be like, "Oh, like, I don't like her," not even listening to what she's saying, because when you're a Democrat, you don't care what the other side is saying. You just don't.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like it's like a block. It's
Oh
like
yeah, you don't
there's
do your
no,
research. Yeah, there's no research. There's nothing. That it's like us against the rich people, basically, is how they is the kind of mentality. Like, you're now with us because you're rich. And when Tulsi came out, I just couldn't understand like why they were slandering this woman who would be their best option.
interesting. And then Candace Owens kind of,
Yeah, well, after that, I started listening to Candace. I was like, wait, she's making a lot of sense, actually. That little trickle from Tulsi let me open up, like, look a little bit more behind the door to see what was going on. And the more I looked, the more I liked what I was seeing and hearing. And I was just like, wait, I don't think our views are actually that off aligned, you know? And then what really started bothering me was the woke agenda. The woke agenda really just started putting me off because, I'm a gay man. I've always grown up gay. And this was never a thing in our community. It was never like, there was never a thing about pronouns. It was it was just very confusing to me as to where this came out from and why is this attaching that label to the community. Like I just didn't get it. And I also, with what they're doing in schools, blows my mind. Like
That's horrible.
replacing education with ideology. It's like, where has people's common sense gone? It's just it you know, and this is coming from a gay man, which is why I think my first video resounded so much, because I didn't intend to go viral. You know, I kind of simply just put that first video out, and the response I got from the MAGA community was, please keep speaking up for us, because if we say anything, label us homophobic or they label us racist. You know, and I'm Puerto Rican, gay from the Bronx. Like I'm none of those things, but yet I'm not aligning with the Democratic views anymore. You know, so the MAGA community was like, please, please, we need your voice, we need your voice. And that was at the end of July, and here we are, you know.
Yeah, I reposted your video. I had no, like I thought it was just great. Like everything you said was factual and it just showed truth.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like I knew I liked it, but I had no idea how many people
Oh
just
my,
from my
oh,
little post.
yeah, it's insane because the very first one I posted was back in July, and that came about because somebody DM'd me and said, "I can't believe you're starting to support." Okay, so the the assassination attempt happened on the president, and that was my turning point right there. That was the deciding point for me that I was voting Trump, because I was like, how is it that the side that is saying that the right is like, you know, so like this mafia mob, like with this crazy mentality, and that is being, I'm being told that they're violent, but yet here we are with an assassination attempt on the president. It just, that it blew my mind, and that was just like, nope, I'm my support is for Trump. So what happened was that I started posting about Trump, and immediately I got a DM from somebody saying, "I can't believe you're posting Trump. How dare you? Do you know he's gonna take your rights away as a gay man?" And I simply asked them, "Show me where Trump said that," and they couldn't answer me. And they got so upset, and I was just like, "Just please show me where he said that, because I can't find anything." And it was like, "Oh, you know, typical liberal, you know, talking
Yeah,
points where they really don't
backlash.
have talking points. They just lash out at you." And I sat with that for a couple of days, and sitting in this chair right here, something came in me to make a video to the MAGA community. So I started off the video. Yeah, this message is to all you MAGA folk. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I believe the media. I'm sorry. And I posted that not thinking anything. And by the end of the day, I had 1 million views over on Twitter.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, what did I do? What did I just, the kind of worms that I opened? And people just, you know, I had 600 followers on TikTok. Now I have over 40,000. And I had 1,000 followers on Instagram, and now I have over 8,000.
Wow.
And it was just crazy to me because I was just like, how did this happen? And within 3 days, they had 2 million views. And that's when people from the MAGA community started telling me, please speak up. We need a voice like yours. You know, you're Latino, you're gay, and if we say anything on those issues, we immediately get labeled. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I have no qualms with speaking the truth. And I kept talking, and then I literally the day before the Olympics, I posted a video about the woke agenda. And then the opening ceremonies happened the next day. Like the timing couldn't have been more perfect.
Wow.
And then I made a video about that called The Last Supper, and that got 500,000 views over on TikTok, and then they took it down.
Really?
TikTok, yeah. And
Wow.
it killed me. It killed me so much because it just resounded so much because I gave my 3 points as to why I was voting Trump, which was our kids, the over feminization of men, and the assassination attempt. Those were my 3 big points that made me really go, I'm voting Trump, you
Okay.
know? And then I voiced it in that video, and immediately it was just doing so well. And then TikTok took it away for hate speech. And I was just like, no. But I kind of was like, you know, I can take this as a setback, or I can learn how to work around it and get my message across still in a different tone. You know, because at first it was a little bit of a blow because I felt like I had to restrict myself now because I was being, you know, I was getting sent violations over on TikTok. And I was just like, no, Rigo, take a step back, reframe it in your mind so that you can still get what you want to say out, but it doesn't come off, any way offensive to anybody. And that's when I made the second video up. Well, the second Trump video, which is the one that you posted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised TikTok took it down because it seems I don't use TikTok, but it seems that a lot of the videos that have truth come from TikTok.
Yeah. But
And the liberals don't agree with it.
and it's very true, and that's why I believe that they do want to get rid of TikTok because they can't push their narrative on there. However, I think because the political scene is so sensitive that I think anything that might seem a little bit too offensive immediately gets flagged, or if somebody who sees it doesn't like it, they can flag it as inappropriate. So I'm not quite sure which one of the two it was, but it eventually got taken down. But it's fine because it made me think of it as like, okay, now I'm gonna figure out a way to get around this and to still speak my message in a way where they can't flag it. And
Nice.
that from there comes the video that you posted on your page.
Well, the video was like perfect.
Oh, thank you,
You
thank you.
covered every point, and I saw it on Twitter and I reposted it to Instagram because I just thought people need to hear this because this is truth. And you covered, I think, every point that you could have covered. So
Yeah.
kudos.
Oh no, thank you. Because I mean, I seen the views too on your reposting, and it's just like
I just
mind
couldn't
blown.
believe, like, I was like, wow, well, everybody saw what I saw.
It's true. I mean, that video on TikTok, it's almost at 1 million views, almost. And
Wow.
I think on yours also, it's reaching up there. But I'm just happy that the message is getting out, and I mean, for the longest time, I thought that the MAGA community was what they were telling me on the news, and what I received was the complete opposite. I have received so much love in the past 3 months. It's ridiculous. Like just overwhelming amount of love and support. And the narrative that Trump supporters are this or that, completely debunked, at least from my end, because that's not my experience that I've had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And not only that, because of the mega community, I'm monetized now on TikTok. I'm making video money off my videos, which is amazing because I wasn't asking for anything of it, nor was I trying to, but I saw the opportunity and I took it, and I think the thing that I love about it most of all is that it's not for me. I'm doing it to spread the word out. It's weird because I think before this I was trying things, and it never worked out. And the minute that I was just myself and honest, everything just flooded in.
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It really
Absolutely.
is. So we are, as of tomorrow, 1 week away from Election Day. What are your thoughts right now as far as from your video and from everything that you're seeing as we're coming up to Election Day? What's your thought?
I think that the campaign has been amazing the past 3 months. I think there was a little bit of discord yesterday at the rally in the beginning, which got a lot of attention, but I don't think it's enough to move the election towards the Democratic side. I think the momentum that President Trump has is beyond enormous. I think that the support and the things that worked in 2020 that worked on me, just they aren't sticking anymore. The rhetoric, it's almost like they're projecting. And what's funny is that I didn't see those things as a Democrat. And now that I'm on this side, I couldn't see them more clearly. It's the complete opposite. I'm just like, wow, like everything that they've been throwing at him, they're the ones actually doing it.
It's
Like it
so
just
true. Everything they say that he is doing or Republicans do are exactly what they're doing. I
exactly.
agree 100%.
Yeah, I just think that the fact of the matter is that you don't get a promotion for doing a horrible job. And Kamala Harris has done a horrible job. You know, I know they like to push their big reproductive issue. I won't say the word because, for it not to get flagged, but you know, that issue, it's funny to me because they see it as reproductive rights, and I see it as destruction of reproduction. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm a man, so I don't really have a say in it. I might have an opinion, but I just I just think it's contradictory, because if you're you're pushing me on reproductive rights, what else do you have other than that one topic that you're pushing on me? Because I don't see anything reproductive about it, you know? And outside of that, I mean, Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote to cause the inflation that we have. The amount of money that they're spending on war is the reason why we have all these high prices in the supermarkets, at the gas station. So it's crazy to me that people don't see that they're still willing. Like, we just got a preview of what the next 4 years will be like under Kamala Harris administration. Do we
So
really want
true.
4 more years of that? Or do we really want 4 more years of that? I don't. I think that's crazy talk, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely insane to give this woman a promotion
I
after
agree
the
100%.
horrible years that she's had, you know?
It's just, I don't understand how, like what you said, I don't understand how people don't see it. Like, people like
Hmm.
paying this much for groceries and for gas and electricity, and I mean everything else that has skyrocketed.
Well,
It is.
I can understand why. It's called TDS. I also suffered from it, where, the media has such a hold on some people, and they live vicariously on every word that they say, that they can't get past the fact that it's all rhetoric coming from them. It's not based on reality, you know?
That's
Is
true.
anyone perfect? Absolutely not. But, the thing about being a racist and I bought it then, and now I'm like, Rigo, you grew up in New York. You grew up with Trump around you your whole life, Trump buildings around you your whole life, and you never once heard of these things being said about him until he ran for president. And back then, I was more emotional. I was more of an emotional, like, everything was based on my feelings. Not anymore. Like, I just don't think like that. I think more logically. More, I think with common sense. And common sense would tell you that if you want 4 more years of what we just had, then sure, go ahead and cast your vote for that person. But that's crazy to me. It's just absolutely insane.
It is insane. It's insane, absolutely. I'm so grateful for you coming on here
Oh,
and sharing
absolutely.
this.
Thank you for having me.
I know
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's been a hot topic, and wondering how you switched and why, and really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would add or like to
Is
say
there any,
about it, or
um,
anything else? I have a question actually. I didn't get a chance to watch the rally. Is it the rally that you're talking about
mhm.
for yesterday? What happened in the beginning?
Oh, maybe we should get into this now, that this will make it interesting. So, Tony Hinchcliffe, he has the number one podcast in the world for comedy. He's known as a shock comedian. He's known as a roaster, which I don't know if you ever watched a roast.
Who
They
did
get
you
very
say? Who is it?
Tony, I think Tony Hitchfield, I think Tony Hitchcliffe. He has the number
Okay.
one podcast in comedy. It's called Kill Tony.
Okay.
So he was invited by Trump, and I'm 100% sure it was because he has the number one podcast. I'm sure they thought he's a comedian. Let's have him on. Open up the show.
Okay.
He made a joke that did not land very well about Puerto Rico, and the media took it and ran. And it just it was not a good look. It was not a good look, to be honest with you, because they were looking for that one thing. They were already setting up the rally, calling it, the end rally or whatever the case may be. And he said this joke, which, if you watch any of his comedy, all his jokes are very vulgar and brash, and it's not for the sensitive,
Okay.
basically. But he just didn't have the awareness to not demean a certain demographic in that arena. And also, the joke just wasn't funny. That was the problem. It just wasn't a good joke. He said, there's a floating island of garbage in the ocean. Oh yeah, and it's called Puerto Rico. And even the people in the audience were like,
What?
"Whoa!" And he was like, "Yeah." And the online social media has ran with this. Bad Bunny came out in support of Kamala, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin. Right after that, all that happened, And I got to tell you, it was like a punch in the stomach to me, to be completely honest with you, because I was just like, what is he thinking? Like, because I already
Wow.
knew, I know how the media is going. They were just waiting for that one moment, and Tony gave us them last night. And to be completely honest with you, I couldn't enjoy the rest of the rally because I just knew in my heart how they were going to take it, and it's exactly what they did. And now people are all in their feelings about it, and I'm in the process of making a video about it because I had to step away from it because it was intense. Because I was just like, why would he do that? It's just like, dude, are you not thinking? Are you not thinking? You know, they're blaming Trump for this, and they're
Right.
saying, oh, you see, we told you he was a racist, and it's just like, if you watch the guy's comedy, you'll understand that this is his shtick, you know. But they're not
Well,
seeing it like that.
it goes back to common sense because if you have the common sense, you realize that it's him. It's not
Yeah,
Trump. It's not Trump
yeah,
supporters. This is who that person is.
yes, correct. But they were already,
I've never
they were
heard
already,
of him.
yeah. I've seen him a couple of times. He did like a Tom Brady roast, and he was okay. It was pretty funny. But it's like shock comedy, basically. Now, my guess is that Trump obviously did not know that these were the jokes. I think if his team would have known that these were they would have been like,
Not having him. Yeah.
yeah. But I think that the mentality was, oh, he has the number one podcast. Let's put him up there. He's a comedian. People are gonna love it. He's gonna hit it out the ballpark. And he did the opposite. He did the opposite of
That's
it.
too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad because this whole campaign, I mean, I've been following it for the past 4 months, day by day, minute by minute, second by second, and it's been flawless until yesterday. Until yesterday. And I have to be honest about it because, I live here and I now am in the process of working on a video and I have to kind of soften the blow in a sense. And I know how I'm going to do it, but I also have to understand if people still take it the wrong way, because I
Right.
know people still are going to be sensitive to that topic. Um, but I know how to redirect the anger that they're facing with facts. And for example, I guess I'll talk about it here. It's fine. Um, that anger needs to be directed to the government of Puerto Rico. Bottom line, the people here are upset, but it's because of the government of Puerto Rico. It really has nothing to do with Trump. People are looking for somebody to blame what's going on down here, and it just happened to be Trump yesterday.
Does this go
But the
back
truth,
to the storm that came through and there was no help? Is this
yeah,
what it is?
well, Trump did give us aid. He gave us over $40 billion in aid. However, the way it was spun was that he didn't give us the aid because that money somehow disappeared when it got here. Not only did it disappear, the supplies and assistance that we got for FEMA, the government from here locked up in warehouses. So all that time, people are blaming Trump for not helping us out, except we had the help. The supplies were here,
Wow.
but the government here decided to hide it until the people found it. And there's videos, and those videos I will be putting in my personal video that I'll release later because we need to like clarify some things,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because
It's
now Trump is
happening
being,
way too much.
yeah,
It's
Trump
not
is
just
now
Puerto
being
Rico.
exactly happened in North Carolina as well. And so I need to like bring those points up that this isn't a Trump problem, it's a government of Puerto Rico problem, you know? And people here get in their feelings, and I understand that, you know. However, we also need to separate feelings from facts.
Right.
Because another fact is the fact that there's a law here called Law 22. People here hate that law. What is that law? It allows American citizens with a net worth of over $1 million to come here and live tax free. Only to American citizens. It doesn't apply to Puerto Rican citizens. So you have an influx of Americans coming in of high net value and living here tax free, which is upsetting because they don't pay taxes. And I can understand why people are upset. However, one of the biggest proponents to that law is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris even came here to speak to their biggest donor this year. And she was met with a not so great response from the people of Puerto Rico, which I'm also going to add in my video because you can also have it both ways. You know, she came down here to speak to that donor for a law in which people hate and despise here, but now they're propping her up because of what happened yesterday, as she's pro Puerto Rico. So while people are being blindsided by the fact that these remarks were made by a comedian, not Trump, and now they're like, oh, Kamala, 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 let's not forget that the one law that the people here hate is the one law that Kamala is championing. You know? So you can't have it both ways. You can't hate this law, but yet now put this woman on a pedestal when she's
Right.
a proponent for it. You
Well,
know?
I'll look
And she
forward to
literally,
that.
yeah, she literally came down here and it's the video's hilarious. There was a band outside playing, and Kamala's out there clapping until her aide tells her, "Hey, they're not singing for you; they're singing against you." And you see Kamala, and she stops clapping.
Wow.
Yes, interesting. So I'm gonna have to bring that up in my video because it's like the amount of stress I've been under the past day. I'll be honest with you, has been intense because I live here. I'm a Trump supporter, and it's just like, okay, how do I now balance this out? Because I know people are waiting for a response from me. I know it. I know they are. Because I've had people when I first came out from here being like, "Oh, I can't believe you're voting for Trump." Da, 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 da. I'm not here to change your opinion. You have your opinion. That's absolutely fine. I'm here to voice mine. I'm here to see with my own voice what I see with my own eyes. And I respect your opinion. But it seems that you can't. It can't be the other way around. The minute you start voicing your opinion to somebody from the left, they don't want to hear it. But I see that the right is more accepting, like, okay, word, like we don't agree, but that's fine. But it's not. It doesn't work the other way around. You know.
True. True.
So yeah, I do have to bring up the fact that though the joke was distasteful, it had nothing to do with President Trump. You know, the media likes to run with this rhetoric that they were already spewing. I mean, they were literally showing the Nazi parade at the same time of the Trump rally and on MSNBC.
Really?
They're like, they were like, oh, let's not forget what happened here. And they're showing the rally, and then they cut to when Hitler had his rally there. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you're embedding this in people's mind. No wonder he's had 2 assassination attempts on him. Like, that's what it gets me, that when the rhetoric is coming from the left, it's okay. But when it's coming from the right, it's hateful, it's racist, it's homophobic, it's all these things. But if you guys say it, it's okay. They're right now, they're in the process of really wanting to ban the First Amendment, freedom of speech.
Right.
Hillary Clinton's got on the news saying we need to control the narrative. We control the narrative, and this is why they hate TikTok, because they can't control the narrative. In my stories, I'm sure you're aware, all I post is TikToks in my stories, which the MAGA community loves, because a lot of you guys are like, oh, I don't have TikTok, so thank you for posting. And also they're getting to see what real people think and not what the media is pushing, which is why I think TikTok is awesome in that sense. But now I have to clear some things up, and I have to bring some kind of a semblance and balance to what took place yesterday, because it was a little bit of a blow, to be completely honest. But now I have to sit back and analyze things for what they really are, and also state facts to the people of Puerto Rico, which is like, yeah, you might have been offended. However, that one law that you guys absolutely hate, well, that's why Kamala was down here, to talk to its biggest donor. All the money that this administration has given to the government of Puerto Rico, why are our streets still so messed up? Why do we have constant blackouts every other day?
Oh, wow.
We pay 4 times the amount in lights than people on the mainland,
Wow.
because of Luma, which is a private company from Canada that our government signed a contract with. The light bill here comes for like $300 a month,
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
just me and my roommate, $300 a month.
Wow.
But yet people won't take to the streets for that. It's like this. People want somebody to blame, but the people who they should be blaming don't catch that blame. And when you
Right.
push, and I spoke about this in my video, when you have a narrative that Trump is racist, that means MAGA's racist. They try to group everything together, like this kind of symbolism, and it's just simply not the case. It's not. So now I have to dispel that. I have to do my research today and really have a focused video to still show my support for Trump, because it didn't change. It's not going to sway my mind.
I don't think
That's
it'll
for a fact.
sway true
No,
supporters at
no,
all.
absolutely, Absolutely not. Absolutely
No.
not. And the truth of the matter is that you have to look at Kamala's record,
Yeah.
and her record is atrocious. It really, really is. You know, and I don't care how many celebrities come out endorsing her. Celebrities are out of touch with everyday Americans. They
No.
can afford to buy $8 eggs. You know, they can do it without thinking about it. You
It's
know,
crazy.
it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
It's all
And
just
Trump
an
also,
agenda that they have. It's not grounded in any.
no, it's absolutely not, absolutely not. And also, Trump can sell out a rally without a celebrity being there.
Right. He doesn't
You
need
know,
other celebrities.
he doesn't need another celebrity. He doesn't need an endorsement. You know, he just has to show up, and people are going to be there.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking
So yeah,
forward to your video
thank
and
you,
to
thank you.
expand on that.
I'm
And
gonna have to absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, the momentum is still too big for Trump. Honestly, he's ran a flawless campaign.
too big to
I
rig.
never too big to rig. I never thought if you would have asked me last year, if you would have told me that I would have blown up on social media as a Trump supporter, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. You know, but I'm so grateful and like just everything that I once hated about him, I absolutely love. He's hilarious. He's down to earth. He uses common sense, and he's a leader and an alpha male. And I think that that's what rubs people the wrong way. Because I'll be honest with you, what I'm a yoga teacher, and I decided to start separating myself from the yoga community. And it was like the moment I did that, I was demonized for having my own opinion and for having my own thoughts and being like speaking out against the fact that I don't, you know, I love the practice, but the community in itself is very hypocritical, you know? Um, and I can get into that deeper, but I won't. But yeah, it was like the moment that I really started just following my own path and really listening to myself and disciplining myself in my practice by myself, my mind started altering and I stopped listening to people's opinions. And I think that was also a big part that I really just started separating from groups and really listening to my own intuition. And that also made me understand President Trump more. That you know what, when you have your own opinions, people are not going to like you that much.
It's very
When
true.
you when you are stern and you have conviction in what you say, and the majority of people don't like it, they don't want to mess with you. But it just shows me that he has a strong head on his shoulders. He's a strong individual who is going to lead. You know,
He has a track record.
he has a track record.
When he was our president for 4 years, our country was in the best shape it's been in a long time.
Yeah, and
And
all those
that's
four
another
years that
thing. It's like you can see that, and yet how do these people not see that?
well,
I don't.
there's people that are always going to base their decisions on feelings.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, there's always going to be those people that base their decisions on feelings.
It's
But I think,
what's coming in their ear and
yeah,
stop them.
exactly. They were going to hear it's selective hearing, kind of like
Yeah,
what happened yesterday. Because I mean, the comedian's set was okay. He kind of made fun of everybody, but even with that joke, the audience wasn't feeling it, and he should have taken that cue right there to kind of, oh, okay, maybe I should sway it. But regardless, it doesn't change my mind. You
good.
know,
It doesn't change my mind either.
no, absolutely not, because at the end of the day, to have a person who is power hungry in a position of power is very dangerous. And I don't know
Very.
if you've been keeping up to date with Candace Owens her podcast on YouTube, where she's been going into Kamala's family lineage.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, she's uncovered a lot of things, and per Candace and what she's revealed with facts and everything, Kamala has been lying about her background.
I do know I know about her dad and
Yeah,
some of the lineage, but I haven't been following Candace's findings on that.
yeah. Well, Candace found some discrepancies in the book that she released in 2019. So yeah, I just think with what Candace Owens has been uncovering about Kamala, it should send a little bit of a warning to people because it's very disingenuous. Kamala published a book in 2019, which kind of all politicians do right before they're running. Describing her family, all this stuff. And what Candace found out was that the picture that she had in there with her grandmother wasn't actually her grandmother. Her grandmother died 4 years before Kamala was born, so there was no way that the woman in the picture couldn't have been Kamala's grandmother. And it turns out that the woman in the picture was actually the help. Now, Candace has spoken to family members of Kamala. They all they've all said that that was not her grandmother in the picture. They all stated that Kamala's grandmother was white, Irish, who lived in Jamaica, and Kamala's family actually comes from a line of slave owners. That they owned over 1,000 slaves in Jamaica, in the part of Jamaica where they're from. So in her father's piece, Donald Harris's piece, he kind of touched on his mom, but said that he doesn't know where she comes from. He doesn't know her ethnicity. So that was another red flag for Candace. So when she dug deeper, she realized that, this person that they, both Kamala and her dad, that basically they made up a whole story to blackify Kamala.
Wow.
And Candace has, it's like about an 8-part series that Candace has done with, real journalism, finding birth certificates, talking to family members, questioning people who knew them down in Jamaica. And they all say, yeah, Kamala's grandmother was not black. She was a white woman. She was a white Irish woman who lived in Jamaica. So, and
Oh.
Candace's whole point is like, we don't care, like, if you have, ancestry that's either Jewish or Irish, because apparently she also has Jewish family members. But why are you hiding it?
Right.
And why now you also to like trying to blackify yourself when your family actually comes from slave owners? It's kind of like, it's kind of messed up if you think about it. Like, here's this woman pretending to be black who comes from a family of slave owners. It's like,
and
mind blown.
isn't she also Indian?
Yeah. So Candace has also found out Candace is having a podcast today on YouTube, and she's having somebody on who went to school with Kamala's mom.
Oh.
Kamala's mom is Indian. Kamala's mom comes from a communist rich family in India, in the southern part of India. Communist. And so
Communist.
this man who went, yeah, communist.
Yes.
Just so you know where Kamala's coming from, where she's coming from, because trust me, all those things she's promising you, no, she just wants to get into power so that she can show you who the real Kamala is, in my opinion. So apparently, this guy had wrote a piece a while back on Kamala and Kamala's mother, and said that Kamala's mom was part of the MK Ultra program from the CIA, that she's a part of it. He's going to be on tonight on the Candace podcast, so I'm really excited to see what he has to say, because he actually knows her mom and knows Kamala, and he is just not a fan. This guy, he's from Japan. The guy that she's having on today. So it's been a very eye-opening, like, 8 episodes. But I just think that any woman who comes from a communist background, because her father's a Marxist as well,
right,
who pretends to be black, who doctors a book and says that a woman who was actually the help and poses her as her grandmother. Another thing is that the article that the father wrote, all the people that he wrote in there as family members were actually the help. So they took black workers that worked for the family and put them in place of family members.
Wow. Like
it's really deranged. It's really deranged. And like I said, Candace really goes into it deeply with receipts. And it's kind of mind-blowing that this woman is being allowed to get away with this. And you hear about none of this in the news.
None of it. I've heard about her dad. That's all I've heard. I've not heard anything about the other family members or this woman posing as her grandma. I mean, I know we find people endearing and we call them grandma, but she's actually saying it's her grandma.
Yeah, she's saying it's her grandma, but which would have been impossible because her grandmother died 4 years before Kamala was born.
Right.
And that's where like the leak came in. And also because, Janet Jackson was asked in an interview, what do you think about the first female black president? And Janet Jackson said, last time I heard, she wasn't black. And the media ran with that. This is why Candace started the thing. The media ran with it. Oh, Janet Jackson, lashing out on her. And Janet Jackson discrediting her. Thank you. Janet Jackson's manager came out with a public apology, and Janet Jackson then fired him and said, no, I said what I said.
Good
now,
for her.
Janet Jackson probably knows a little bit more because she knows Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris was involved in Michael Jackson's trial, when she was a district attorney in California. So I'm sure if Janet Jackson's like, no, I said what I said, it's probably because Janet Jackson knows what she's talking about. You know, so that kind of opened up the can of worms to Candace like prying in. And I know that the Democratic Party is not happy with what she's finding out, and they're kind of just trying to like get through the race without it really, really blowing up. But I mean, the episodes have over 1 million reviews each. You know, Candace really exposed them for what they're doing.
That's awesome. I have to go watch
Yeah,
that.
yeah, very, very
Interesting.
interesting. And then tonight's episode is going to be with the guy who knows Kamala's mother. He's going to be talking about them
You know, it's
and
really
what.
amazing. All of the lies, like the amount of time and energy spent in the lies that not only Kamala, but the whole the whole side of where they're at, the left side,
Oh,
the
completely
energy
discom.
that's spent in the lies is just like,
Well,
I mean, it's just like, how do you have so
they
much
have
time and
to.
energy to perform all these lies and to make all of
Yeah.
this up? Like, how do you
Well, because
even
they know
live like a true
they
person?
know they know that they have a candidate that isn't equipped for the job. So
It
they have to
clearly
push
is
the
not.
lies. They have to push the rhetoric, and they have to push this anti-Trump campaign because that's all they can run on. They can't run on policy because she doesn't have any. And whenever she gets up to speak, it's like it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. You know, she should write Dr. Seuss books, in my opinion, because
I
it's
don't
all
even
in
think she'd do
rhyme.
well at that.
No, absolutely not. But she should go that route because it's just like it's crazy to me that people listen to this woman and are inspired by what she has to say. I'm just like, what?
It is crazy.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely insane.
Anything else you want to share? Any other thoughts?
No, I'm just I'm grateful for you. I know we've been talking about this for a while, but I mean, you posting my video on your page has been just so beautiful and such a blessing and getting the word out. And yeah, to anybody from the MAGA community watching, thank you. You took me out of obscurity and used me as a platform to, voice your concerns when you haven't been able to, because the moment you do, you get vilified. So I'm just completely grateful. My life has been a 180 the past 3 months.
Wow,
So just a lot of gratitude towards the MAGA community.
that's awesome. Well, you're a blessing. Thank you for
Oh,
your
thank you,
truth.
thank you, thank
Thank you
you.
for your time today. And I'm
Absolutely.
really
Oh, thank you
looking
for having me.
forward. What?
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for the video you're about to do. I'm looking forward to watching that and hearing what you have
I,
to say.
I'm not looking forward to making it, but it needs to be done. It needs to be done.
Good for you.
And as some kind of balance, if it can bring some kind of assembly and balance and some common sense to people, then I've done my job.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Well, I look forward to it. And
thank
thank you
you.
again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Bye. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.